All right, we are live with the Insert More Coins author interview with the man with probably the biggest sword in the game, R.E. Sanders. What is
Hi.
going on, my friend?
Hi, Randy. Nice to be here. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. I guess we can get started with if you want to tell us about yourself and your books.
Well, hi. Yeah, my name's Ari Sanders, so you can call me Rob. That is my name. I'm an independent fantasy author from the UK. I've currently, as of now, have 3 books published. I've got them here, so I'll flash them up. Although I think you've got some copies. So, novella, Plans Last Stand, standalone book called A Path of Blades. Hey, there we go. And
That's right, I got them.
It's on there. Right, good man. So Tan's Last Stand and Path of Blades are standalone books, but Demon Series is the start of an epic series, which I'm in the process of writing and drafting, and I'm anticipating that's going to be a 5-book series, each of which at least as big as Demon Series, if not bigger. The sequel, which I imagine we'll talk about in a minute, is bigger than Demon Series. It's a big chunky story. Takes a lot of telling. I'm a historian archaeologist by study. I got a degree in archaeology, which is one of the things that I come back to fantasy again and again, because I'm fascinated by history. I'm fascinated by ancient cultures, why they did the things they did, what they believed about the world, what they thought about their place in the world, and the stories they told. So it all comes back to stories, really. So yeah, that's me.
That's awesome. And I don't do nothing. All right, let's see who all we got here. We got Shane is in the house. What's up, Shane? Hey. We got Alex. What's going on, Alex? Got What Amy Reads. Hello. We got Blake Myers. We got Lorraine and Bella. And we got a bunch of people today. Let's see. Avid Book Junkie. We got Mark. Yeah. At the gym, working out. Very nice. Very nice. EH, what's going on? Man. All right. So let's see. I guess we can start with I just finished Tan's Last Stand. And this little novella was awesome. It blew my mind. The first, I guess, are you cool with talking a little spoilery on it, since it's like
absolutely, especially Tan's Last Stand, because as we'll come to, there's a good story behind it.
Okay, so the first chapter in this book, you kill off 2 characters super fast that I did not see coming.
Yeah,
and I guess it's the husband of one person and the wife of the other, and then they end up getting together. Not together, but they help each other out. But which is it's awesome, and they leave and all that. But then coming back, did you write this story in a way that your main character is not even the best person in the book? It's Tan. Like, it's almost like a different perspective. Like, he's watching this awesome character do all this stuff, and he's, I don't want to say scared, but he's kind of scared to do anything.
You mean Holt?
Yes.
Yeah. So that was an idea I found interesting. You see it from, he's sort of the narrator, if you like. He sees all this stuff happening, and while he does get involved, and without giving any spoilers away, he's important at the end. It's Tan's story, really, which is why the book is named after him. It's very much akin to the story of the Magnificent Seven, if you're familiar with that. Seven Samurai. I mean, lots of people and lots of stories have rehashed that in various shapes and forms. So, the first Avengers movie, there's something happened. We need to get a team together. I wanted that. I thought that was fun. And I wanted it to have be a fantasy novel, but have a really distinct Western theme, dusty towns and shootouts and that kind of thing. So that's where the idea was from. And they always say with stories, and it's something I think we find hard to put into practice, because we want to tell you everything. We want to tell you all the foibles of the characters. They say start the story as late as you can. So in Tan's Last Stand, I knew it wanted to be a short book. I started at the moment where it all goes wrong. There's no build up really, and it goes on from there. So Yeah, I mean, all those things that come into it. So yeah, I wanted to keep going quickly. I wanted to be a really quick, easy read. I wanted to be a quick, easy write, because at that point I wasn't that confident that I could do it. I wanted to do it. I knew I could describe things, but could I write something that had a narrative beginning to end, characters that felt real, and that was an experiment. And I think for a first go, I'm reasonably pleased with it. If that's the only thing you've read by me, I would say that my other books are better. They're more
I can't wait.
more complete. Path of Blades is definitely a step ahead of Tan's Last Stand. It's mostly means a bigger book, so I can spend more time going into character and going into story. And then Demon's Tier is a step again, because it's this huge world. The characters travel something like 1,500 miles in the course of Demon's Tier across 4 or 5 different countries. So with each story, I've broadened my horizons and broadened my ambition.
I thought it, yeah, I thought it was so interesting. Like that book was the first one that I'd ever read to where, like, your main character is, I guess, I guess it's more in like your perspective of you're looking at the main character instead of you actually being the main character.
Yes,
I thought that was really cool. I haven't read anything like that yet, so that was awesome.
Yeah, the main character who is not a hero.
Yeah,
that is an interesting concept. I think it's something I come back to, actually. I think maybe it's something that's be in my bonnet, because none of my main characters are heroes. They end up doing things because they feel they have to, or because they have no choice. It's very rare that the characters are like, let's vanquish the dragon because it's the right thing to do. They're normally, let's run over here because I don't want to die.
Yeah. That's awesome. All right, so what would you say was your inspiration in writing? I guess you'd say in your books, since you have multiple.
Yeah, so it's just something I've always done. To write is something I've always done. So I loved it at school. If I was given the opportunity to do a bit of creative writing, like, right, I'm there. I remember when I was doing my English A levels, I don't know what level that is for the States, so it's like 16, 17, pre-university. And we'd been given all this English coursework, and it was boring. We were looking at adverts and stuff. And then the teacher said, "Oh, by the way, if you want to do a different bit of coursework, you could do a bit of creative writing." Thinking we'd all go, bah. And I was like, brilliant. Came in the next day with a short story. I'm like, there you go. I'll have an A, please. Yeah, and that was a fantasy story as well. That was immediately what I went to, as a dwarf and a wizard doing some weird stuff. But I guess, and this is a top subject that comes up again and again in interviews. I'm afraid I'll bore people senseless. It's Tolkien. When I read Lord of the Rings for the first time, it was like, what? Yeah. The world was so huge and the scope was so enormous, and it was unlike anything I'd read before. And that was probably when I was 13, 14. So I was a very impressionable age. And then from then I went into other fantasy authors, so David Eddings, David Gemmell, Peter Morwood, and on from there. So classic British old school fantasy. So the talked about fantasy these days, like people like Brandon Sanderson, I've not read a lot of. My influences are much older than that. They're the 80s, 90s fantasy where it's all a bit. It's not grimdark, but it's a bit gritty and quite real.
Yeah. All right, we've got. Let's see. Dave Lawson says, "Show us the big sword, Rob." There it is. And then let's see. No need to get kinky, Black. Let's see. What's up, Rachel?
Dave can't help but get kinky. He's just that kind of guy.
Yep. What's going on, John? He likes that great sword. It's massive. He showed it to me a while ago.
I've got to admit, it looks like metal. It's not. It's plastic. It's synthetic, and I spray painted it. It was a very, very kind gift from a friend, but the sort of friend who has 2 of these. So.
Heck yeah. Rowdy's always rowdy after dark. Oh, me. Nice. You're crazy. All right. So what, I guess you said, what would be your influence is in becoming an author in general? Was it Tolkien or?
Yeah, I don't know. It's something I always think of when I'm thinking about my motivation to write is Terry Pratchett. He's
kind of like a funny humor type.
Yeah, although I don't tend to. I've never aspired to write humor. I don't think I'm very funny. There's bits that make me laugh in my own books, but I thought they make anyone else laugh. But he wrote very wittily about writing, saying things like he lives in constant fear that someone will find out how much he loves writing and come to stop him doing it. And the writing is the most fun you can have on your own. And I really get that. The act of sitting and writing is still a complete joy to me. I love that feeling of creating something from nothing. And I guess when I came back into it, I realized I'd written this story, just the original version of Demon's Tear I wrote 20 years ago. And I picked it up again 4 years ago-ish and started reading it. I was like, oh no, this isn't very good. But it's not that bad.
Yeah.
I've read worse books. So, and that made me think, you know what, if I'm going to do this, when am I going to do it? I need to get on and crack on, because it's going to take me a while. And then that's when I found out the route to independent publishing, and you didn't need to go through agents. You didn't need to get a publishing deal. You didn't need to sit around and wait for people to think you were the next big thing. You could just do it. You just do it yourself. Get a cover, format your book. It's on Amazon. People can go and read it. And that was a huge eye-opener for me, that you could do it that way. And it really removed all the barriers to doing it. Like, why not? Why not do it now?
Yeah.
So I did. Yeah, that was the next step.
That's awesome. You starting from that young, and you talking about reading Tolkien and stuff. That's definitely one of the blemishes I have. I've not read anything of his at all. Now, I don't remember. I've read or watched the movies multiple times, even The Hobbit, where a lot of people hate. I thought it was really dang good, but I haven't read the book, so I don't know. What that's actually like, where it came from.
Brilliant. But I like the films and the books. Just let's not talk about Rings of Power. But yeah, it's only a tiny book, really. It's small, shorter than Path of Blades, I think. It's a really quick read, and like Tolkien, it starts off with people drinking cups of tea and having a whimsical time, and it ends up death and destruction. I think he was an author who started telling children's stories and then forgot.
Yeah.
Halfway through, you've got the Army of the Dead, and like people are dying all over the place, and the volcanoes are erupting and stuff. But yeah, I would say Tolkien is not. I think sometimes the victim of his own fame is that people think, well, he can't be that good, can he? But I read Lord of the Rings again over Christmas, and I was blown away every page, just how brilliant it is. Beautifully written. The characters ring true, even with the real subtle little touches for some of the character relationships. It was like really, really striking. As coming at it as an author, wow, the confidence to just have two characters that they have like 3 conversations with each other in the whole series, but you know everything about their relationship, and it's a sophisticated relationship. If you're going to read it, I won't spoil it, but I think you probably know what I mean. But yeah, it is obviously of its time. Some of the language is a bit dated. I think it would be written in a different way now, but it's still brilliant. Really is still brilliant.
It's definitely on the list of things to read. No Rings of Power. Definitely not. I just finished The Ranger last week, and I don't know why. Have you had a chance to read it yet?
On my list, it's just like the next one to read. To
me, and it's may just be me, and I may be just stupid about it, but it felt just to me like a different version of Lord of the Rings. Like, I really enjoyed that story, and it could just be, there's a wizard, there's elves, they're on a quest, but I really liked that book. I thought it was awesome.
Yeah, I know Eamon well. I think he comes from a similar pace to me in terms of what we like about our fantasy settings and our stories. I can't wait to read The Ranger. I'm really looking forward to it.
It's really good. Yes, children love a little death. Let's see. What are you killing kids, Rob? Dave's on one today.
Yeah, no, this is normal. Sure. This is just the way he is.
All right. So, what would you say? What author has influenced you the most in your writing? Would that be Tolkien?
Well, I already said Tolkien, so I won't say him again. What struck me after, I think it was probably after I'd written A Path of Blades and published that, was I picked up Legend by David Gemmell. Now, I don't know if you've read that.
No,
If you haven't,
but I've seen it, and it is on the list.
yeah. So it's the first story he wrote. There's a fabulous story behind it. He was David Gemmell was an author, and he hadn't really had any success, and he was diagnosed with terminal cancer, and wrote this story about an old warrior defying death in a futile defense of a doomed fortress as a metaphor for his battle against cancer, because he thought he'd had it. He thought he was about to die, and he wrote this incredible story of this guy called Druss, who is like a man who's carved from oak. And I reread that, and actually I realized, wow, do you know what? This guy is a huge influence on me, and I didn't realize. I read them all when I was young and just absorbed it. The way the characters are, the way the battle scenes are, the way he shows character through the action scenes, and the values he thinks are important. So heroism, bravery, selflessness, and that's all stuff that I just absorbed at that age. And he's an unwitting huge influence. But I don't just read fantasy either. I'm one of my guilty pleasures is Lee Child, the Jack Reacher series. I love those books. I just absorb.
Have you been watching the series? Like on?
I haven't started series 3 yet, but that is very soon.
I watched it yesterday.
It's very enjoyable, isn't it?
It's good.
But the way Lee Child writes, it fascinates me because I don't really see how he does it. It's like he's like a magician doing a trick, and I'm always like, wow, how is he making this so readable? And I think it's just his brevity and the way that he creates constant tension every page. You just want to keep reading the next page and the next page and the next page, and that's something I do think about when I'm writing. Like, what is happening at the end of the chapter that's going to make the reader go on to the next page, make the reader go on to the next book. So that's something he's definitely been an influence. I don't write fighting thrillers really, but there's certain echoes that I wouldn't mind pulling off, and I wouldn't mind a little bit of a success as well.
He so I've not read any of those books neither, but I have watched all of the series. And is it like each book is a standalone, but they can cross kind of different people, like cross over sort of, and some like his team?
Yeah,
I know that's how it is in like the show anyways. Like you've got a couple of characters that come back and forth, but
I mean, Reach is the only constant, I think, through the books. And you can pick up any of them in any order, and they're just a fun little adventure.
Yeah. Rob J. Jobs being Wales' own Jack Reacher.
Yeah, I punch holes in cars.
So what would you say what's your process in writing like your books? Like, do you have like a specific thing you do?
I do, and it's quite unusual, and people often comment that they don't believe me or they think I'm an idiot. But so I spend a lot of time thinking before I write a word, and I think all the time. And my prime place for getting inspiration is on my bike. I do a lot of cycling, and often when I finish my ride, either when I'm at work or at home, I have to jump off my bike and run in and get under my notepad and write down all the ideas.
Oh, wow.
Because as I'm writing, I don't know, it's like something peculiar in my brain that when I'm doing something physical, ideas just flow through my head. It's like I'm watching a movie and I'm seeing what's happening in the story and hearing characters talk to each other. And it just plays out like it's alive in my head. Colors, sounds, I see the lot. And then I have to try and write that down and remember it, and then the next stage is writing it, and I write it by hand, and I can prove that. So I've got a notebook here. Yeah. This is a massive spoiler if you can read it in the text. So this is the pad 3 of the sequel to Demon's Tear.
Okay.
And it's been written entirely by hand. Demon's Tear was written entirely by hand. Apart from
really? So you don't type anything? Oh my gosh.
So, and there's 2 reasons for that. The one reason is that then I can take my pad anywhere. So I wanted to go on holiday and I wanted to write. I didn't want to be sitting in front of my laptop on holiday.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But I can sit and write. And I find that I get a nice flow of writing by hand. There's the tactile thing of the pen and the paper and the ink. And the other thing is I am proper awful at managing my distractions when I'm sitting on my laptop. You know, with Twitter and BBC Sport, and I've got my friends on Discord chatting away. If I tried to write this but on computer, I would get nothing done. I just can't do it. I mean, I'd have to have a laptop that was disconnected from everything, so I could do it.
Wow, that's so impressive.
But then, but it means I can I can get away from my screen because I spend my whole
Yeah.
working life sitting at this.
I understand that.
In this
Yeah.
place. So getting away from it to write an hour, 2 hours a day is it feels like it's a hobby rather than a job. If I was doing it professionally, I think I might have to have a different approach, but I'm not. I'm an indie author.
Yeah.
I'm doing it as a side hustle, you know.
Yeah.
But I really enjoy it. And then the next stage is typing. So I type it up as I go, and then it gives me
Okay.
time to understand the story, to think about what's happening, sort of edit it as I go. So by the time I've got a typed up manuscript, it's been written and rewritten, so it's pretty clean at that point. So that's my process, and it is different from a lot of people, but it works for me.
Heck yeah. What's going on, Greg? Coming in here. Lorraine, notebooks. And Dave. I guess both of y'all.
I wish I didn't know how to use computers. It would make my life a lot easier.
Old people problems. Yeah. Lorraine caught your notebook disease. What's going on? That's Scott, some other character. Rachel, I agree. I cannot fathom. I could not write that much. I write terrible anyways because like all I do is drive. So only thing I ever write is my name. So of course, the more you write your name, the worse it ever gets.
Yeah.
And so me writing a sentence out, you can ask my wife.
It's pretty scruffy. I mean, I'll hold up a little bit closer. It's pretty scruffy. It's good enough that I can read it.
Good enough you can understand it.
Yeah. Occasionally I get a word and go, and I don't know, but mostly I can read my own writing.
Yes. I totally agree. Like half the time the stuff I write is just like I'll write 2 or 3 words and then I'll scratch something out and then I'm trying to think back after I've gone back. It's like, what did I write here? I have no clue. Like I get my biggest thing, like with you being able to do that is you're riding your bike and you come home or jump off work and then start writing it down real quick. How do you remember all the stuff that you've thought of? Like that would be crazy to me.
I don't know. Sometimes I don't even write it down, which will, I think the other authors in the chat will be wincing. I just remember it. I just go, that's a good idea, and leave it there, and don't worry about it, and it stays. I'm sure I've had 1,000 ideas that have slipped out of my head.
Yeah,
but otherwise, I just tend to remember it. And well, I'm normally thinking the stuff I really, really want to remember is normally important to the story.
Mm-hmm.
And that then becomes part of the story, and I'm thinking about it all the time, so I don't forget it. Just as a warning, my laptop has got a weird issue which I haven't managed to fix, and it continually tries to download a bit of software. If it does it while we're on the call, it'll restart with 0 warning. So if I suddenly drop, I will come back. It's doing my head in, and I can't fix it. It doesn't give me any warning. It just goes restart. Boom. So I'll be 2 minutes. Okay.
No, that is totally fine. So. All right. In that case, then, would you consider yourself more a plotter or a pantser?
I am absolutely halfway in between. So I have character sheets. I write down character profiles. I create like Myers-Briggs type profiles for my characters, so I know how they're going to react. I've got whole life stories written down for them. I've got my plan in an Excel spreadsheet, chapter by chapter, and then quite often I completely ignore it. Or I'll have this chapter, this thing's to happen, but I'll have no detail about how, and I'll just let's see. And sometimes I know exactly start and finish the chapter. I know exactly. Sometimes I don't. And there's an instance in the sequel to Demon's Tier, and I'll do can I announce the cover and the title in a minute? Where I didn't know. I had to put the characters in a situation, and I didn't know how they were going to get out of it, and I just wrote, but really strongly in the mindset of what those characters would do in that situation. And lo and behold, they found a way that suited them as a person. And the same thing happened towards the end of the book as well. I knew there was this issue with 2 of the characters, and I was like, well, how is this going to get resolved? Let's see. And so, yes, I'm in between. Some things I plan really meticulously, and some things I just wait and see what happens.
Let's see. What else do we have here? So if I don't immediately make a note on my phone, I don't remember. Even when I make a note on my phone, I often still don't. I can see that.
If I write something down, I never need to look at the note. It just remembers. Yeah, and Eamon has. I mean, I think it's partly in jest, but if you come up with a good idea that you know is going to really make your work a bit better, make your story a bit better, or character idea, you'll remember it. And if it's a stupid idea, it doesn't matter. It'll go out the back. Blow them up.
Yeah, that's reading that. That's right. That's the easiest way to get rid of, I guess.
Yeah. Well, yeah, this issue I had, and I was like, I know what needs to happen. Nastya, who's one of the main characters in Demon's Tier, has to solve this problem, and I had to really sit and think, what would she do? What would she do to solve this problem? And in the end, the solution presented itself. That was entirely what she would do. It wasn't what anyone else would do. It wasn't a sensible thing to do. It probably wasn't the right thing to do, but she did it because that's how she thinks and operates. And because it rang true to her character, it did work.
Okay. Just a random thought that popped in my head. I've always been curious, how do, to you, but most authors anyways, how do you come up with the names of characters in your books? Because some fantasy authors have, it's like, why are we making these so hard? Can we not have normal names?
Yeah, so I make conscious decisions. Most character names are relatively simple for that reason. If you could look at it on a page and have no idea how to say it, okay, here we go. It's going to restart. I'll be 2 minutes. Sorry about this, everybody. Really sorry. Just going to drop it. Here we go.
And I think he is gone. So I guess I need to remove him, and it'll just me with a close-up. So do y'all have any questions y'all want to add? Yes, Alex? Role play amongst yourselves in chat. Goodbye, Rob. Yep, he's gone. He will be back. No. So least favorite thing about Rob. Well, my least favorite thing is whenever he brought me, or I got his books and he sent them in, he didn't send me this giant sword that he has. And I feel like I need that. I could put it like right there, just strapped over my name. I think that would be good. And for names that can be pronounced easily. Absolutely. Do you like turtles? I do like turtles. That would be Michelangelo would be my favorite. And my least favorite is Donatello because he's too smart. And Ralph because he's just hateful all the time. Do I own any swords? No. No, I do not, because I'm afraid if I did, my son would try to take it, and then who knows? Him and my daughter may get into an argument, and there would be problems. Nope, here he is.
Oh, I'm so sorry about that.
Oh no, you're good. You're good. Now people ask for pronunciation guides of characters before and think it's funnier to let anyone say. Yeah, my problem with that is I get frustrated if I don't know how to say a name. And I know I need to just let it go and just either make something up or don't worry about it. But something in my mind, I just cannot do it. And I don't know why.
I think if you can't imagine saying it, it's hard to imagine them as a person. You sort of, thinking about saying their name gives you a connection to them as a person, and it makes them feel more real. That's what I think.
Yeah, I agree. Well, we got Dave. Should shave your head once you go. I have shaved my head before, not the smooth or whatever, but it has been shaved, and I'm not a fan of it yet. But eventually, it will come out for sure because my hair will be going away.
So I can answer the question now. I've had time to think about it. So, in certain bits of my world, there's quite a deep history that I've created. So there are traditions and myths and stuff, and the naming in some cases follows that. So if there's a country where there's some sort of legendary heroes, and popular names are names that are derived from their names. So the main character in Demon's Tier, Yane, his name is derived from a mythical hero's name. And so some of the names in the countries, they actually have a meaning in-world meaning. And some of them, to be honest, I went on Google Translate them.
Oh, he's froze again. Well, shoot. There you are.
Am I still here?
Now you're back. Yeah, you froze up.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
There we are. Yeah, there's a lot of different ways.
Okay. Let's see what we have. Said, if I have a hard time pronouncing a name, I agree. It does reduce the likelihood of me connecting with that character. I agree.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, definitely Welsh internet. What's up, Lamia?
It's this stupid computer. It's oh,
So she just had a baby. I seen a few 2 weeks ago, I guess. Oh, congratulations. Well, all right. So let's see. Do you have a favorite character in any of your books?
yeah, I've got a few. So I mentioned the character of Nastya. She's one of my favorites to write because of all the weird stuff she does.
Okay.
But she's created with, I don't want to give her too much away. She's created with someone I know in real life very much in mind.
Yeah.
After reading the depiction of some of their character traits in Nastya, they're not the same person, but there's some of the same character traits. He said it's the nicest thing anyone's ever done for him is to show that they understand what it's like to live like that. So that gives me a great deal of pleasure knowing that I've got that right. They connected very strongly with that character. But a character I feel most akin to is probably Tam, who is in all of my books.
Oh, okay. I did not know that. Okay.
Yeah. He's like the eternal dad of the book, I suppose.
Yeah.
The
he seems real. What's the word? I guess kind of stoic or whatever. Like really quiet. Only talks whenever, and it's like when he does talk, people listen. And that basically reveal at the end of the novella that got me pretty good. I was not expecting that because it was kind of weird for him just to go and like, okay, agree to fight all these bandits. And then you find out in the end why he chose to do that. And it's so good.
Yeah. So I like writing him. He's an important character in Demon's Tear. He makes a cameo in A Path of Blades. He's very important in Demon's Tear, in fact, and I enjoy writing him because of the way he is. He just feels, to me, he feels like a real person. He feels like someone I could imagine meeting.
Okay, yeah, that's really cool. So, do you have a favorite line in any of your books? Anything you've wrote that you're like, this is just a masterpiece? I have absolutely killed it.
Oh, I don't know. That's putting me on the spot. There's some little bits that I thought I nailed, and it's normally dialogue. That's when I get that right, and characters say things to each other that really hits home, but it isn't just cliches. That's normally what makes me feel pretty good. If you can write something that sounds like it's a saying, but it isn't, that gives me great satisfaction. So the title of A Path of Blades is in a line of dialogue in A Path of Blades.
Okay.
Writing that was pretty cool.
Yeah. I think
one of the antagonist says to the protagonist in A Path of Blades, life is a path of blades. Will you grasp the hilt or face the point?
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
That's pretty fine, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's that kind of book. It's a bit Game of Thrones, I suppose, in terms of you're constantly asking the characters, who are you going to side with? Where are you going to place your trust? Who are you going to be loyal to? And what's more important, success or your principles? So that idea of I could take this blade and I could use it as a weapon, or I can risk being cut by it. That's kind of what the whole book's about. So yeah, I was pretty pleased with that.
Yeah, Lamia. Easter egg title. Very much. All right. Do you have any plans to make any of these into audiobooks?
I'd like to. Just because I think it is another way that some people experience books that currently isn't available. so I would like to get into as many different avenues as possible. 'Cause I know some people love audiobooks and listen to them all the time. So if I could do that, it would be great. And the other part of it is I could do it myself. I'm a musician. I've recorded a lot of music over the years. I've got everything I would need to do it at home.
Okay. So you do it yourself?
I could. I would do it myself. I think I'd be quite
sweet.
But it's the time really is what I don't have. It would take hours. But I've spoken to, I don't know if you've heard of a guy called Andrew D. Meredith, another indie author.
When you seek to learn and grow is when you find your best self. Absolutely.
Wow. Sounds like a fortune cookie.
Yeah.
Andrew does all his own audiobooks, and he said it's really not that bad. So it's something I keep thinking I should give a go. I mean, I have actually recorded, I think, the first chapter of Tan's Last Stand, just to see if I could, and it worked out okay. So I could do the rest of the books, but it's the time to sit in front of a microphone and read out my own books.
Yeah, and you probably want it to be about as perfect as you can get it. Like that right there would be hard for me. Is just trying not to mess anything up or make a noise besides just saying the words. And
yeah. And I don't know. I think the idea of reading the same passage repeatedly might drive me to throw the computer and the book out the window.
Totally.
One day, maybe I'll take a pause in writing, put them in my notebook for a bit, and I'll just record audiobooks, and then we'll see where we get. So I would like to, but I can't promise at the moment.
Yeah. All right. So what projects are you working on right now?
Well, as I teased with the notebook, I am deeply into the process of getting book 2 of the Jantakai saga ready for release. So the book is going to be called Demon's Rise. Okay. So a slight spoiler, but as you may or may not be aware, the Demon's Tear refers to the jewel. The jewel is the Demon's Tear.
Yep.
I'm not going to tell you why it's called Demon's Tear.
Yep.
So the sequel, Demon's Rise, the title hints at something else happening, which you'll see as you read the book. So obviously then the naming a theme emerges. So book 3 will be Demons something else as well. We'll see what the demons are up to then. That should be available late summertime, perhaps.
Okay. Really close. Okay.
Well, yeah, it's getting there. Demon's Tear was released in June, and I'm a bit behind that in schedule, so maybe August. I'm not going to rush it. I'd rather. It's a big old book. It's going to take a lot of editing, a lot of rereading, a lot of tweaking to make sure everything's right.
Dave, in book 1, Demons Cry. In book 2, Demon's Rise.
Yeah, you've just spoiled the whole plot. How could you do that?
Why would you do that, Dave? Come on, man.
Come on, Dave.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. So not too far off for Demon's Rise. I'm really excited about it. I'm partly excited about it and partly can't wait to be shot of it because it feels like it's been in the process a long time. It wasn't as easy to write as Demon's Tear.
Did you say that this is going to be an epic fantasy series?
Yeah.
So what you said. So how many books are you planning on writing in it? 5. Okay, so yeah,
I think 5. Yeah, I think 5. Okay. They're all going to be big. I mean, you've got Demon's Tear. It's quite big. Demon's Rise is bigger. Again, it's another complex story with lots of things weaving through and lots of continuing themes. So it's been a lot of work. I'll be glad to be done with it, but it's not too far off. Got 2 other things on the go. One is in the interim time between me having the book ready to give to my test readers and stuff, I might publish a anthology of short stories, my own short stories, about the country of Banagar, which is where the book Demon's Tear starts.
Okay.
That's a country I've probably in my mind has spent the most time. I can trace its history back like 1,000 years or so. I know it inside out, and I have written a few short stories as it was. One of them appeared in a publication by Lost Boys Press last year called Insurgent. That was a nice first little writing contract I got.
Yeah.
That story is really cool. It's that warrior class I was talking about. It's how they formed and what they do. So there's a lot of stories like that I might get around to putting into an anthology. And then after that, I've got an idea for it'll be a short book or a novella about another one of the characters. It's in a different theme, in the way that Tan's Last Stand is like a Western fantasy. I think this one might be a thriller assassin fantasy. But I'm only in the planning stage of that at the moment. I'm seeing what comes out if I think about it for a while.
Well, heck yeah. That's awesome. I can't wait to get started in it. I mean, you said this second book is bigger than the first one. The first one's 530 something pages. So do you plan on them just getting bigger and bigger and bigger?
I think I'm probably finding the upper limit.
Yeah. That's, to me, that would be like super stressful, is trying to, because it seems like most authors always try to go bigger the next book than the previous one. And sometimes I'm like, is it really necessary? Like, do you have to, or is it just make it look better? Oh, I have more to say in this section.
I had no idea how it was going to come out. When I started planning it, I was like, well, this is going to be nowhere near as long as Demon's Tear. I don't have as much to say. And then I got halfway through writing it and was planning sort of, well, I've written that much. And then, oh, wow, okay. So, it dawned on me that it was going to be quite a big book. But a lot happened.
How long? When did you decide that it was going to be like an epic fantasy and you were going to make it 5? Like, was it after the first one, or did you already have it planned? It's all.
No, I've had this planned. We started planning this. Me and a friend sat down in the pub, and he told me he was trying to write a book, and I said, well, I'm trying to write a book, and he showed me he had a map, and his map had a gap in it, and I was like, well, my map fits there. So we realized we were writing the same thing basically. And he was going nowhere. He had a million ideas about like world building it down to like the crops in each country and what color they wore and stuff. I'm like, write a story. So I had a story in my mind. This is going to be a story. So so I know the narrative, where it starts and where it's going to end. So I've just kind of got to join the dots with each book to get there. And it's going to be one of those that ramps up and stuff happens in the later books that you wouldn't have thought possible in the early books, if you know what I mean. Can't give too much away because that's part of the joy of it. It's going to be surprising for everyone. But it's going to be a long-term process, but so I'm not going to rush through it. It'll be done eventually when it's done.
Oh, that's awesome. Like I said, I can't wait to get started on this. And then I think I'll probably do Path of Blades first just to finish that part out and then go into Demon's Tear. I'm very much excited about it. After reading Tan's Last Stand, I was like, oh yeah, this is something I'm going to enjoy quite a bit.
That's really nice to hear. I think obviously my style must mesh with you. I think that's really, really nice. Yeah. Maybe you've got a similar sort of background in fantasy reading. People say Path of Blades is quite a quick read. My wife read it in a weekend and was angry with me the whole time. In that, is this going to be a happy ending? I don't think there's going to be a happy ending. You promised me a happy ending. Never promised you a happy ending. Kind of way. Yeah, it's a fast-paced, quick book, and it's quite small in fantasy standards. It's a shortish book.
So I didn't think Tan's Last Stand had that much of a happy ending. I mean, there's one good thing that happens, but there's a lot of bad.
Get used to that, is all I can say.
Hey, that's cool. That's what makes it more exciting to me, is like you don't know who's going to live and who's going to die. Because anyone, I guess that may be like in your writing style too, is it's like anybody's up, anybody can go at any time. Just be ready.
I'm not going any way.
Yeah, because I mean that's what happened to me when I first read that first chapter, and then the same thing in I think it's next to last chapter. It was like, my goodness, we're killing a bunch of people here.
Yeah. Sometimes you just got to be ruthless. Sometimes.
Yeah. All right, so I guess we could do a little. Let's get to know you a little more. What is your favorite food?
That's hard. I do like eating. I don't think you go far wrong with a good steak. If I was going to choose one thing, I think I'll go for a good thick bit of steak.
What kind of steak do you like? Do you have a certain kind, like ribeye, T-bone?
No, not really. I'll take whatever comes. But I remember once we got a steak. It was called a feather steak, and it was like 2 inches thick. And it's got like a fat up the middle and spreads out, but it's so thick. And like I cooked it myself. I managed to get like charcoal on the outside and like still bloody in the middle. It was beautiful. It was absolutely delicious. So
that sounds good. I'm a ribeye person, and my wife is a filet for sure, without a doubt. Oh, let's see who else we got in here.
Timothy Wolf,
tomahawk steak. Yeah, very much. Timothy Wolf, what's up, Tim? Going on? Happy Sunday to you. Got Shane Demon's Happy Ending. What a book.
We joke about this sort of thing a lot in the Secret Scribes because some of us like to write quite spicy scenes into our books mentioning names, and some of us tend not to. So,
well, yeah, I don't know if it's in it, but I'm starting Bella's book, The Sorrow of a Wise Man, tomorrow. It starts first thing tomorrow morning. So
good on you.
I know this food. That's what people do in Wales. Filet mignon. Yes, very good. And that's true. Yes, you have great steaks in Texas. I've never written a spicy scene in my life. I feel like that might be lying right there. I don't know.
No, Rachel's lying.
Spicy done. Spicy of a wise man, for real. All right. So, what is your favorite? It'd be different, obviously, because you're over there. What's your favorite restaurant?
So we have a place near us. I live somewhere we call it the Village. It's actually all part of the city of Cardiff, but I live in a place called Whitchurch. And in times gone by, it wasn't in Cardiff. It was a village, a bit on the outskirts of Cardiff, and we still behave as if it's the same. If it is a village on the outskirts of Cardiff, and we call it the Village. It's got its own little high street. It's got loads of restaurants. It's a really good place to go. Some good pubs. But there's an Italian that's run by a local family, and that's probably my favorite place to go because it's the sort of place you walk in and they go, "Oh, hi, nice to see you again. Do you want a normal table? Do you want the usual?"
Oh, yeah. Where they know your name? Yeah, don't get better than that.
No, and then the pizzas are all named after members of their family because it's what they like on their pizzas.
That's cool.
And you're just going to have a nice time, a nice relaxing time.
Okay. Did you say did I read that from Wales?
So I'm not from Wales. I'm English. I was born in England many years ago. And when I chose my university, it was Cardiff University, which is probably about an hour and a half away from where I grew up. Okay. So I live near the border. And I stayed in university at Cardiff for 3 years, and then got a job in Cardiff for another few years, and it just ended up settling. And a lot of my friends did as well. It's a really, really cool place to live. There's a lot going on, and as it happened, fortunately, the career that I got into there's a centre for it, and in Cardiff, there's a lot of investment into building in Cardiff. It's great. It's got beaches, it's got mountains, it's really good cycling.
Oh, yeah.
It's a capital city, so you have museums, you have castles, your cinemas, your theatres, all the stuff you would expect from a capital city. But it's really small. I can walk into Cardiff city centre from where I live, and I live in the suburbs. I can get a train in 10 minutes. It's perfect. It's a really nice place to live. And also Wales. We're really close to England, but it's different. I'm very settled in Wales. And I love it, but I still don't feel Welsh. But I do love the Welsh identity and culture. It's distinct from English, and I think people sometimes forget that, and that's why Welsh people get very irate, because they're not English. They're not English. They have their own language. They have their own history. They have their own stories. Yeah, they're very Wales isn't England. No, it's next door to England. It's like Canada but smaller. Yeah. Did I watch the Torchwood? Yes, I did. Yeah, it's brilliant. Set in Cardiff and based in Cardiff, like a lot of TV programs. Cardiff became a very cheap place to make TV programs. So the Sherlock program with Benedict Cumberbatch and Martin Freeman is mostly filmed in Cardiff. There's bits of movies that are filmed in Cardiff. So we play spot the local landmark, and occasionally you can walk past and watch them filming, which is quite fun.
Okay. So I'm going to just assume you're not a sports fan, are you? Like, you don't like soccer/football?
No, I'm big into my sports, although I don't watch a lot of football. But I love rugby. I love cricket. I love the weird sports, really.
Okay, that's cool. I've watched a little rugby. I've never watched any cricket, but rugby seems like that's like a good Lord, like that's basically football, like our American football with no pads. Is that right?
Yeah.
How in the world would anyone want to play that game? I don't understand.
I used to. I played.
Really?
Yeah, I played until I was 30. I retired when I was 30. You're just constantly injured. You can't.
Oh, I don't doubt it.
I used to every year. I used to break my ribs, break my fingers. It's savage, and the professional standard rugby is insane because like the minimum size for them is 6'2", 6'3", and they're all 18, 19 stone, and they can run 100 meters in 12 seconds. It's just brutal.
Oh my Lord.
Yeah.
I couldn't, and it's literally that's all it is just them just smashing up against each other.
But it isn't because they're also incredibly skilled. So it's your quarterback in American football can pick up the ball and ping a pass.
Mm-hmm.
Every player on the pitch can do that.
Okay.
So while these enormous blokes are trying to kill you, you've got to look and pass, and it's a game that happens in split seconds. It's savage. Although I would say, word of caution, I would not want my son playing it right now. There's a growing school of thought, and I don't know if this is the same in American football as well, that these athletes nailing into each other and banging their heads together is not good for them. It's really not good for them. Being diagnosed at 40 with dementia.
CTE is a big thing. Yeah, they had a huge thing over here. I want to say 10-ish years ago that they went through a whole like trying to fix. So they changed a lot of the helmets and the different pads and stuff that the players were doing. They got rid of like 2-a-days, I think, where they were practicing, and they really stepped it back because like CTE that's like the big thing that they went through for. It was like 2 or 3 years, and it was bad. Blake talking about like Tua, that's the quarterback for the Dolphins. He has, I want to think 4, 5, 6 concussions, and he's only been in the league like 3 years, 3 or 4, and he's missed a whole year from it. And it's after so many, like you shouldn't just be playing anymore. I mean,
it could be 10 years down the line when it really hits. I think it's a time bomb, to be honest. I think it's going to be really awful. Anyway, should we keep it light?
Yeah. All right. So are you a gamer? Do you play any games or anything?
I don't. I dabble, but I don't trust myself. And like I said, I can't manage my distractions. If I get into a game, I could lose a day. My son is a massive gamer. He's on his Switch all the time. He still plays Minecraft with his friend.
My son loves Minecraft.
Amazing. He's been playing it since he started when he was 6, and he's still playing it now. And he plays it with his friends. He still gets a load of pleasure out of it, which is amazing. We play together sometimes. That's something really nice about some of the Switch games that we can play together.
Are you looking forward to the Switch too?
He's talked about it, yeah.
Yeah, my son is. He's pretty excited about it. Lose a day, rookie numbers. Are you like super consistent in your writing? Like, do you write like every day, or do you have like a schedule, or is it just when you feel it?
When I'm working on something specific, I try and make time every day. I don't necessarily have a word count in mind. And some days I'm just busy and I don't get time. So I don't force it. I don't stress about it if I can't write in a day. But I do keep an eye on it, because if you go with that for a week without writing, and then you go with 2 weeks without writing, it's very easy to slip. So when I'm not writing, I'm not typing up, so I'm not writing anything new because I can't cope with 2 things in my head at the same time. I'll explode. But I normally have a little time set aside after my son goes to school before I start work, and I sit and I'll just write for an hour. And it's amazing how much you can get done in an hour. If you do an hour every day, the book will come out pretty quick.
Okay, got Ted in here. How's it going? Happy Sunday to you, Ted. All right, so you said you played rugby professionally till you were, not professionally, but till you're 30. But is that what you played when you were young? Was that the only sport that you had played, or?
Yeah, so it's the common person sport in Wales. It's the sport of the working man in Wales. In England, in some places, it's the upper class sport. So they'll play it at private schools, fee-paying schools. There are a few regions in the UK where that's different. So Southwest, Devon, Cornwall, and where I grew up in the West Midlands, rugby was still pretty big. So I just grew up being surrounded by rugby. My dad was a really good sportsman. He played cricket at a high level. He played rugby at a high level, played football at a high level. So I just followed him into it.
Yeah. Okay, what is this? Could you talk about the rumors the orange cats are the best cats?
Yeah, so my cat is a bit of a celebrity on Twitter because every time I get out my writing pad, he comes and jumps on the table and lies on it.
Okay. We had a orange cat probably 4 or 5 years ago, and it was long haired. And she was the sweetest thing in the world. My daughter named her Princess Minnie Mouse, is what she named her. And we had to get rid of her whenever we moved, and she went to a good home, so didn't just go anywhere. But she shed more than any animal I've ever seen. Like, she'd lay on the back of the couch, and you could literally actually get up and you could just wipe and have a whole hairball. It's crazy. And now we have a black cat that my son named Batman because he's solid black.
Oh, nice.
So.
Every right has to have a cat. So yeah, Toro is my cat, but he's sometimes very disruptive.
Yeah, they can get into anything, and just do not care. You can't bother them at all. They don't care about your feelings.
I've had to shut him out of the room because he does. Well, occasions, and this happens on work calls, which I do in the same room. He'll jump up here, come here, and be on the laptop or on me. I had a call through work where I had to talk to some people from the government, and I didn't shut him out foolishly. And he jumped up and he stood right here, looking at me with his arsehole pointing right down the camera.
Yeah. Oh, me. Shane. The 2 Bengals. They're crazy.
They're pretty cute.
Absolutely. All right. So I probably already know this answer, but if you were not an author, what would your dream job be?
Ooh, that's a good one. Yeah, I being an author has always been. I thought, what a good job, what a lovely job that would be. Still haven't completely let that dream die, but I'm doing it in the way I can. Yeah. I've often thought, actually, if I was going to be a sportsman, because that sounds like the sort of thing I'd like to do as a job, playing professional cricket would be pretty nice because it's quite low pressure. You're not getting hit by people like you do in rugby or American football, and there's not the running around constantly of football. I mean, the guys who play top flight cricket are professionals and athletes. They are seriously fit. They're seriously strong. But a lot of the time, half a cricket match for most of the team is spent sitting around doing nothing because you're waiting for your turn. But being a hitter in baseball, if it's not your turn, you just sit there.
Yeah.
And I think I could cope with that.
Oh,
you sit there and do a crossword, and you tend to play cricket in places where it's sunny. So you play in the northern hemisphere in our summer, and then when it's wet here and cold, you go down to South Africa or New Zealand or Australia and play there where it's sunny. So I could cope with that. Yeah.
I could definitely cope with the money our baseball players make. Like some of them, holy cow! What was it? One of them, oh geez, one of our, forgot who it was, but signed like a $600 million 10-year contract or something. Crazy. Can you imagine making $60 million a year?
Yeah, I'm losing two lines about that. When there's often in the news over here about salaries that the football players or soccer players are on because they're so insane. But you think actually they're not going to have a career that lasts very long.
Mm-hmm.
They've got to make the most of it. Their next game could be their last. You see these injuries. Their career could be over any minute, and a lot of them don't have any other skills beside that. And they're in a successful industry. Their industry is making loads of money, and they're a key player in it. In any industry, if you're a key player in it and the industry is doing really well, you reap the rewards. So I sometimes feel it's a bit obscene, but then also I feel that the flip side is, well, they kind of are earning it and they always work really hard. So
yeah, that's true. All right. So who would you say is your favorite author or authors if you have multiples, like your all-time top of the top?
Top of the top. I'm just having to think so I don't just say Tolkien again, you see. I have been reading a lot. I've got back into reading Philip Pullman books. and I think that they're very impressive. There's an enormous amount of craft in his novels. They're very studied, and I a lot of respect for that. I've just noticed Rach is coming. You drunk now, Rach? Rach has just fallen off her chair.
That's good.
Yeah.
Pullman. I've not read any of his. He's the one that does his Dark Materials, ain't he? Is that right? Okay.
He's still writing the series as well. He's
okay.
Yeah, he's very, very slow writer, and I think he writes by hand as well. He's based in Oxford. He goes and sits in the library and writes.
So she can barely type it. Yeah. Oh, that's good. Oh, that's funny. All right. So if you could put yourself in any story, what would it be?
Well, none of mine, for starters.
That's for sure.
Yeah, it's all a bit dangerous in my worlds. And I think, in all honesty, most medieval settings wouldn't be that much fun to live in, really. I think maybe something sci-fi might be the way to go. All the benefits of advanced technology or what have you.
That'd be fun.
Yeah.
See that. Have you read have you read much sci-fi?
Not loads, no.
Okay. I hadn't either. I'm in the process of going through all the Red Rising books, which I'm starting Morning Star next week, I think. But I think possibly at some point later on, I'm wanting to read. Have you read Hyperion?
No, it's supposed to be excellent.
That's what I've heard. Yeah,
really rave about.
Yeah, I just I know today for not the general public or whatever, but the Broken Binding had their special edition that they're selling, and I bought it. It looks beautiful.
Yeah, I got around to reading Dune for my first time last year, which was something else. You have to constantly keep pinching yourself about how old it is, what year it was when he wrote it, because it predated Star Wars, it predated Lord of the Rings, it predated all of that stuff. Well, how did he come up with these ideas? The spaceships going through hyperspace and stuff, and it is quite mind blowing. It's written in a really unusual style, so it takes a bit of getting used to. The first chapter or two, you're like, what's going on? What is happening? But an extraordinary book. Did
you watch the 2 movies?
Yeah.
Oh, man. They are so good. I've not read it neither. It's on my list to read as well.
I think I saw the movie. Yeah, I saw the movies first. My son, he was 12 then. He read Dune before me. I think someone said, you won't read that. And you're like,
to watch this.
He read it in a week. We were on holiday in Norway, and he read it in a week. And so then we all sat down and watched the movies, and I went and read the book later on. But still, the depth of imagination to come up with the concepts at that time, it's stunning. And you think it's really easy to think, oh, this is ripping off Star Wars, but no, it's way before Star Wars. George Lucas is like a Dune tribute band.
Yeah. Okay. I'm excited to give it a shot whenever I get a chance to read it, because I love the movies. I thought they were great.
Be prepared. It's not a style you will be familiar with. He goes from different people's perspective really quickly. So there'll be people around a table, and you're like, he thought this, and then next paragraph is, oh, he thought this. Oh, it's a bit disorientating, but he does it really well, and it works. It's a stunning book.
Okay. Yeah, they're probably 2 of my top. I'd say that Dune and Hyperion are my top 2. That's not the Red Rising stuff that I'm definitely wanting to read.
Too many books. That's the problem. Too many books.
Yeah, I made the bad mistake of not starting to read till last year consistently at all. Like, I didn't read anything from the time I left high school till I turned 40 in October, and just didn't care for it what at all. And I was a big gamer, and then got tired of it, and then started reading, and now it's basically all I do. And man, that's the truth. I'll never be able to catch up with everything I want to read. I mean,
no, I'm glad I read a lot when I was young. From like age 8, I was reading books. I was reading kids' books, but I always have one on the go, and it's just the way I've always been. I actually read a lot less now than I used to. Now that I'm writing, because a lot of my reading time is now writing time instead. And by the time I get to bed, I'm often shattered, and I read like a page and fall asleep. I'd have to be really picky about what I write, so I don't like critique it as I'm reading it. It changes things.
Okay. Let's see, what do we have here? Shane got the Broken Binding edition. Yes,
I think you're talking about Tiberian. Yeah.
Yep. Oh man, it's so beautiful. Tiberian's on my list. Absolutely. Plan on reading that. Alex, first has to do is politics. Second half is more epic style.
Yeah,
okay.
It starts slow, but it gathers pace.
That's. Like I said, I'm excited to try it out. Just like I'm assuming the first 2 movies were the first book. I think is right.
Yes,
sounds right. Okay, so all right. So I've got about 3 more questions left. If anybody else wants to throw some out there, we can do that as well.
As long as it's not Dave.
Yeah.
Can you be clear on that?
He's asked enough. You need to calm down. All right. So what are you reading right now?
I am currently reading. I've just finished reading my good friend Greg Terrell's book, Bloodwoven, which was great. It took me a long time.
Finished that a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. I broke halfway through. I think it was just after the American elections, and I needed a break. I needed something relaxing, so that's why I went Lord of the Rings. I'll go back to something really familiar. And so I've just finished that, and they made a BBC TV series of His Dark Materials, and we're just watching the 3rd series, which is the 3rd book. And I just got in my head, I wanted to know what happened in the book, so it's a long time to read it. So I'm going to read that. But I know they're really quick readers, so I'll get through that really quickly. And I think the next book on my list might be The Ranger.
Oh, well, I can tell you that one too. It's really good.
Yep, I've heard that. I'm looking forward to it.
I've got, next for me is, like I said, I just finished yours, Tan's Last Stand this morning, and then Bella's is next. And then after that, I think I'm going to go to, was it The Whisper That Replaced Gods, which is Timothy Wolf's.
Oh, Timothy Wolf was in the chat. They're supposed to be brilliant, these books. I've heard really good things.
Yeah, I've heard it is really good, so I'm excited about it. So that's the next 2, and then obviously, what is it? Morning Star, and then going to the next Ryan Cahill book. I'm trying to finish every series I start this year. I want to finish it because I made the mistake last year of like, let's read book 1 of this and book 1 of this, and it's like, if you do that, it never gets done. So I'm spending at least the first 6 months of just finishing every series that I started last year.
Well, then you got people like me who haven't finished the series yet, and you've just got to wait.
Well, that's different. I'm cool with that. But if the series is done, or at least get to where it's caught up, that's my big thing. Like I'm wanting to read was it Jade City, and start it. The Fond du Lis. Have you read any of it? No. Okay. I want to read it, and it looks awesome. And then I've read like the first Joe Abercrombie book of First Law, and I've still got the next 2 that I need to finish. And I read it 6 months ago. So I just need to get stuff off my plate.
Joe's doing a tour around places in Britain, so I might go and see him, and I think in the Submarine in Cardiff. So I'm going to actually go and see the man himself, and that might motivate me to read him. I've not got around to reading any of his yet.
Are you gonna pick up The Devils whenever it comes out?
Well, we'll see. I don't necessarily grab new books straight away if I haven't read the ones before, so we'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see what I've got on.
Yeah. I know. Speaking of Broken Binding, they've got their special edition of that coming out too. So I'm gonna try to pick it up as well because it looks amazing. See, Alex is reading The Whisper soon. Yep, I can't wait to give that a shot. Bella, it's my next read. Lorraine, it's worth a read. That's right. You'll be able to finish the Binding Tenants series soon. I have book 2. I think I'm starting it in April, and I think book 3 comes out in May. I think that's right. So I loved book 1. I thought book 1 was really good.
A really interesting magic system. I'm not really read anything like that before.
Don't start mine yet. Then 10 books later. Oh no! Is her Lorena? You're gonna have a 10-book series? Is that your plan?
Lorraine is someone else with a lot to say.
Yeah. that would another huge. That's the one that I dread. My plan for is next year is I'm going to start Malazan or Malazan, however you want to say it. Have you read any of that?
I've heard really mixed things about it as well. Some people say it's absolutely brilliant. Some people say it's almost unreadable. So yeah, good luck with that.
I want to try it, yeah, and see what I think. I'm collecting the books now, slowly, at least. Oh no!
Have you read The Wheel of Time?
No, I have not. That's another one on the list, and it's massive.
It's huge. Don't start that unless you're committed, because it's a long old slog. I mean, it's a massive influence. I probably should have mentioned it when you asked about influence, because it is huge influence in that post-Tolkien epic story and huge world building. But there's an awful lot about Wheel of Time that I consciously avoid because it's so dragged out. It could have been so much shorter and briefer.
Yeah. The after reading all 20 of the Sanderson Cosmere stuff and all that, I read that whole thing last year. I'm not really afraid to read giant series anymore after doing all that. Yeah. My biggest thing now is just, can I handle the way people write it? You know, like Malazan's supposed to be super complicated, and you're not going to know much about it whenever you start, but it gets like amazing. Well, and then supposedly, what is the Wheel of Time? Like the middle, like 4 books, or like what they call the slog or whatever. Yeah, where it's slow.
But his writing is really accessible. It's really quick to read. It's not. There's no challenges in the writing or the language in Robert Jordan. He writes in a really smooth, readable way. It's just sometimes the story isn't present.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that was the thing too. Like, even like you go through all that, and then I guess the last Sanderson book that he wrote in it is like the whole last book is nothing but a giant battle. So, like, that sounds awesome. Like,
yeah, I think
making it to that book would be like,
it's a while ago. It's a while ago, but I remember enjoying the Sanderson bits of that one when he got stuck into it.
Yeah, because he helped. Did he help the final 3 books?
Yes,
right?
I think so.
I think that's right. So, yeah, it's definitely something I'm interested in. I will eventually give it a shot. But all right, so what would you say is your favorite book of all time?
Well, you know what I'm going to say, don't you?
It's the Lord of the Rings. Wait a minute. What is it? Go ahead.
Read one book right now. Can I have all 3 of Lord of the Rings, please? Because I can find new things in there every time I read it. And as a single book, it's a huge influence. But there are other books that I have absolutely loved, so that are not fantasy. So there's a book called Shantaram. If you've read that. But I remember when I read that blew me away, because it seemed to be a book that was just about everything. It isn't a topic it doesn't touch. But yeah,
Rachel has passed out.
Yeah. There are other books, but well, I mean, if we're picking one,
how do you feel about The Hobbit?
I feel fine about The Hobbit.
It's amazing. That's right.
Yeah.
All right. So, last question. This is more my thing, anyways. What book would you recommend me to read?
Ooh, we talked about quite a lot of books. I think we talked about David Gemmell, didn't we?
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, I'm going to recommend you a book you probably won't have even heard of. Okay. Because I read it, and it was like one of those books I read when I was a teenager. I was like, "Whoa, this is amazing!" How it holds up, I don't know. An author called Peter Morwood.
Okay, I'm writing this down. It's not that I'm not paying attention.
Yeah. British author, and he wrote a series of 4 books called The Book of Years, and I think they're called something like The Horse Lord, The Dragon Lord, The Demon Lord, and something else. And I don't know anybody else who's ever read them. So, but I remember really liking them. It's kind of like a feudal medieval setting, but like feudal medieval merged with samurai traditions.
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of it's really cool. It's really
And you
cool.
said, what's it called? The Book of what?
Book of Years,
Book of Years. Okay.
Peter Morwood.
Peter Morwood. Okay.
I've got
That
them on
sounds
my
awesome.
shelf. I'll pick them up and reread them at some point because I remember absolutely loving them when I was younger. Not sure how well it held up now. Yeah, but I also say David Gemmell, like recent David Gemmell, because he's always been a huge influence on me.
Uh-oh. Dave, could you remove Rob from the scribes for not recommending one of our books?
I don't need to recommend.
We're not shills here now. We're not doing that.
You've already got them all on your list. There's no point. You've read more of them than I have, I think.
Yep. Yeah, I've got, let's see, there's not but just a few that's left that I don't have at least one of the y'all's books.
Yeah.
I think Rachel is one of them. And I know Lorraine is one of them too. But now she's saying 10-book series. You know, I bet if I might as well get them and start at least, you know, where I can stay up to date. So that's definitely a shield. Well, that's really all I have. If anybody else has any questions, or you got anything else you want to talk about, or
the one thing I will say, obviously I've done the title reveal for Demon's Rise. I'm going to reveal the cover soon.
Okay.
I've got the cover. I've shown a few select people, for example, the Secret Scribes, and they've gone, "Whoa, that's cool." The first place it'll be revealed is in my newsletter. I think
I'm signed up for that, as a matter of fact.
There's a form, or message me on Twitter or something, and I'll add you. It's a really informal thing I do every month if I get around to it, and I just kind of talk about what I've been up to. But I promised my newsletter subscribers they'd get something that other people don't, and what they're going to get is they've got the first dibs on title reveal and get the first dibs on the cover reveal. So that will maybe in the next week or so. And then after that, obviously, I'll do a broader cover reveal. And then I'll start thinking about maybe seeing who wants to be an ARC reader. So that is all coming up in the next few months.
Oh, heck yeah. That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
I can't wait to check it out. I'm nearly positive I'm already subscribed to your newsletter. I'm about 100% sure.
I think you did. Yeah, I think you did.
Yeah. Because I think I did that before me and you even started chatting a little on X. I think that's right.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, the cover's really cool. What I wanted was something which sort of was obviously the same series as this, but with a different palette, and the colours are really striking. It's obviously gives you a very clear picture of where the book's going to be set and what kind of feel it's going to have. It's really cool. I'm really pleased with it.
It's got one more right here. Cover reveal. I've got one of those tomorrow. Okay, that's cool. I was fixing to say I thought that Nick was in here earlier and still waiting on book 2 for the Fogbound.
Yeah, I thought I saw Nick. Yeah,
but, I heard supposedly David told me on the low that Nick will never write book 2. It's just a big thought. Just Fogbound 2. There was fog.
Just too much fog.
It's just way too much.
It's too much time sitting in his car taking pictures.
Yeah, yes, absolutely. Did you see where he put out the where you could get his where he signed up for a thing to win his book if he took a car selfie? Did you see that? I thought that was so good. The fog still hasn't lifted. Absolutely. Well, all right. That is all that I have. Thank you for coming on the channel. I appreciate it. I thought we had a pretty good time.
Yeah, thanks very much. Some good questions. Sorry for going on about Tolkien, but that's just who I am.
Yeah, no.
We could have got sidetracked onto swords a bit more. It's been really nice to be here. Always nice to have a chat. And I'm really glad you enjoyed Tan's Last Stand. And I really think when you get around to it, obviously you've got a lot on your plate. When you get around to the other books, I think you'll really, really get into them as well.
Oh yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it. It'll happen soon. So, all right. Well, y'all have a fantastic Sunday, the rest of the day, and see y'all on the next one.
Thanks, Randy. Thanks, everyone.